So this is emojipd.org. So this is a free resource that you guys can get onto or go to, and it's really neat because you can search different emojis if you want. So, you know, if something golf related, you can easily type in golf, and you'll be brought to a bunch of different results. And these are all just generic emojis, but whenever you click into one of these, you'll see they give you a little bit of history, but right here it says copy and paste this emoji. So from here you can click copy, and it'll actually copy that emoji straight to your keyboard. And so then, like, if I come here and you look at that top search bar, you can see it puts in that emoji right there. So that's just one important thing, or a really easy thing that you guys can use to help kind of convey a little bit more emotion in the emails. And so, like I said, I'll send that link out in the follow-up email for you guys to have access to. So a couple top design tips. We're going to go through a couple different things, and then I'll show you guys some examples of emails that have been sent out. Images are supposed to be there and should be there to enhance the text, not to overwhelm it. This is a really important thing. We know that a lot of clubs will just send out flyers inside their emails, and that is completely understandable. There's a lot of information, and sometimes it can be hard to convey that without using a flyer, or to have to try and create a flyer for the newsletter and then have to create a completely separate email. It becomes a little repetitive. But what's really important with sending out images inside of an email is, and something that should be kept in mind whenever you're doing that, is if you have too many images, some email providers and services will actually mark emails with a lot of images as spam, and it'll automatically end up in your subscriber's junk. So there's a really high likelihood, if you're doing an email that has 50 different flyers in it, that it may never even make it to that subscriber. So on the right, you can see there's an example. This is one that Willow Fork Country Club just recently sent out, and they did a really good job on this because you'll notice the email itself is actually a flyer. So this month at Willow Fork and the upcoming events that's listed on the left, although that's a flyer, the images on that are clearly there to enhance the actual text on it and to help kind of relate back to what that flyer is supposed to be about. They also did a really amazing job at breaking up the text from the images and really clearly displaying upcoming events. There's no confusion about what the upcoming events are, what they're called, or when they're happening. They did a great job at really kind of breaking that down by dividing up that flyer pretty cleanly. And it does look authentic. It looks like it's placed inside that email, so there's no confusion about, or it might not come across to the subscriber that it's actually an image when in fact it really is. Another thing to keep in mind why images should be there kind of to enhance the text and not to overwhelm it is 56% of the CBIG properties. So we went through and we looked at all the different CBIG properties. 56% of the email campaigns that your properties are sending out are being opened on a mobile or tablet device, and only 44% are being opened on a desktop device. What that means and why that's important is that means that the people that are opening it are likely looking at it on a small phone. And so if you have a flyer that is over text heavy and there's too much text to the point that it all kind of gets lost in the flyer, or if the email has too much going on it and it's just a very busy email, maybe there's 3 columns or 4 columns across and there's a bunch of flyers and stuff, it's really easy for it to get confused and lost whenever you're looking at it on such a small phone. And so inside Range Email, as many of you can preview the email that you're sending out on desktop and mobile devices, and that's something really important to kind of pay attention to as you're building out your emails. And we'll take a look at that here in a few seconds. And then another big design tip, don't overthink or complicate things. I know a lot of times it can be easy to get lost in the detail and to try and over design, or want to try and make something look too special, and you end up spending so much time trying to overthink or complicate things that the subscriber will end up getting lost in the email. Subscribers want to get the information they expect to get without a lot of hassle. It should be super straightforward. Just like that Willow Fork email that we just took a look at, how it clearly broke out the dates of the events and what upcoming events were that month. The one on the right that you see here, it's the exact same concept. It's straight to the point. You can download the PDF for the newsletter at the top, and then it also breaks out the individual events. And this is a template that all the clubs should have access to. And if you don't think you have it, feel free to reach out to me directly or use the chat or anything like that, and we can, double check and make sure that you have that. But making sure that the upcoming events are straight and to the point. This way, people don't have to chase around or look for the different events, and it's just right there for them. Also, the reason that this is such a big thing, we really want to stress this, is not everybody's going to open up the PDF. Not everyone's going to remember to go back to the email whenever they are at their computer to open up the PDF, or maybe they couldn't see it on their phone and so they just got aggravated and didn't bother to try again later or anything like that. The more information that you can give the subscriber with the less work that they have to do, the more likely that you're going to get people engaging with that email. If I don't have to take one more step to download a PDF to see the events, then I'm going to be more likely to come out to those events if it's right there and I know what's happening. So that's just one really important thing to kind of keep in mind. Couple of design and content ideas. So we just wanted to go through some of the emails that we've seen sent out that really stood out to us and think that it might be beneficial for you. So this is one that Thorntree Golf Club just recently sent out announcing their new dining menu. And so I'm really actually excited to let you guys know that we are going to be adding this exact same template inside your emails or inside your email accounts later today. So tomorrow or by the end of today, you'll all have access to send out an email just like this one. But why this is such an amazing email is the fact that it's straight to the point. There's no confusion when the second that you open up this email, you know exactly what is going to be inside of it. Check out the new Thorntree dining menu. You know that it's the dining menu, you know that it's new. And then as you scroll down, you'll be able to see a little bit of an introduction just to let you guys know or let the subscribers know that they're excited to announce or share the new dining menu with you, and then see the new menu, call to action, and a button. Very clean, straight to the point. It's not complicated or overthought. This is really what email should be all about, giving the subscriber exactly what they want without a lot of hassle behind it. A couple other ideas. So the one on the left is one that El Dorado Country Club just recently sent out with for upcoming events. This is another template that everybody does have access to inside their accounts. And so this is one that's great because while they did a good job of making sure that there were flyers and the subscriber could actually see those flyers, they also did a good job of making sure that the text was there to balance it all out. Just like earlier when we mentioned images should be there to enhance and not to overwhelm, this is exactly what we meant by that. There's a sign up here button and an Rsvp straight to the point so the user or subscriber can easily and quickly take action based off of that event. And there's a little bit of detail behind the flyer on the text. So El Dorado Kids Christmas Party. While that flyer might be a little bit difficult to see on the device, they did a great job of putting the information just below it as well. And then at the top, they also did a great job at putting in a background image on that row and having a straight call to action, making it super clear that, hey, Breakfast with Santa is on Saturday, December 1st. Reserve your spot now. Straight to the point. There's no confusion about what you should do or any details about the event, really. The one on the right is there strictly because it's a nice email that gets down to exactly what information the club wanted to get across to the members. Sweetwater Country Club announced that they were going to do a business directory that we worked with them with. And so to announce that to everybody, they wanted to be able to provide an email that explained how a business could get added to it without being overcomplicated. And so this email does a great job of just being a straight text email. There's not a lot of stuff going on with it. There's an image at the top as a header, and then there's two buttons at the bottom. So it's straight to the point. There's no confusion about it, and it's text heavy without being overwhelming. And so that's kind of a big thing that I think we'd really love to kind of help get across, and hope you guys can kind of see some ideas out of this webinar, is you can do images while balancing it with text. And if there's any templates that you guys have seen so far that you would want added to your account that you don't think that you have, let us know. We try to add templates pretty regularly, but if there's one that, you know, you specifically want, feel free to reach out. We're happy to help and try and get you set up with those. Effective emails that drive action and engagement. So this is a really important thing. A lot of the emails that we see sent out all have some kind of call to action. It's a button or a link in the email that you're trying to encourage or tell the subscriber that's receiving it to take an action about. On the left side, you'll see two examples. The top one, click the button below to download the December newsletter. And then the button is bold, it's bright, it stands out, and it tells the subscriber exactly what to do and what will happen once they do it. There's no confusion or, you know, unsureness about what they're supposed to do or what's going to happen once they do it. They know once they click that button, they're going to download the December newsletter because the text tells them exactly that. And just below that is one that we see sent out a lot, and it's honestly completely okay and it works, but it's a little bit more complicated than it really needs to be. When you start putting links in it, just like images, as I mentioned earlier, so email services like Yahoo or Gmail or Outlook, those different companies might mark this as spam if there's too many links in that email or too many images, as I mentioned earlier. So getting away from putting the entire link in the email and using a button. If you're reading through an entire email, then that link can really easily get lost in the rest of the body of the email. Our button is clear and it stands out. You can see on the right, this is one that Pecan Grove sent out recently, now offering public play, and the buttons stand out. They could have easily just put the link to the page on their website or put a flyer or anything like that, but they didn't. They went the other direction with it, added buttons that were clear. They stood out from the background. They're, you know, breaking up the colors. There's a lot of really good things about how Pecan Grove made that email and the design that went into it without being overwhelming. There's a lot of things that they could have done that would have easily overwhelmed the person that's reading it. So rather than send out just a PDF that says, hey, we're opening up for public play, or a really long email that's just text, they found an easier way to actually do that, and something that stands out to the member. You know, your members and your customers that are coming to your course to play on your course, they want to feel like they're special and that they're getting something beneficial aside from maybe just somewhere to play golf. So sending out stuff that really connects with them and doesn't look like it's just thrown together last minute is such an amazing little thing that you guys can do to really help. And I know that I've said this a couple of times, but I really want to stress it. If you need help with this kind of stuff, we're here for you. That's why we have the live chat. That's why we have support tickets. We want to make sure that we do everything that we can to help you be successful and manage your online presence. So if you want help creating email templates or anything like that, always feel free to reach out using that live chat feature, and I or Blake or anyone else here would be more than happy to kind of help you out with that as well. And so best times, this is a question that I get asked a lot through live chat, and I wanted to kind of touch on this because it does have a lot to do with how people are going to engage with your email. You may even notice if you're subscribed to other newsletters out there that you always get emails at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. or a certain time, and it feels like everybody sends it at that exact same time. There's a reason behind why people send it at that exact same time. Research shows that 53% of emails are open between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., but email activity hits a peak between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., which means that in that morning time, as you can see in that little graph below, whenever you're sending out an email between 9 and 11, you're likely going to see higher open rates, higher activity, and just general engagement with that email that you're sending out. And then before and after the average workday are active as well. So don't feel like you have to send it out at the same time that everybody else does. 24% of the activity happening after work is between 6 and 11 p.m. I've actually noticed a lot of clubs have been sending out emails at, I don't want to say odd times, but different times than normal. And I really liked kind of seeing the properties that are doing that, testing different times. Send out an email and you can schedule it through Range email. So I'll show that here in a second as well. But schedule it to send out at 9 a.m. one day, and then have another email send out at 9 p.m. and see, looking at your campaign open rates, which one is being opened more versus less, and then kind of take that information and use it over time and test it out for yourselves over time as well. There's a lot of little things that you guys can do to really help make sure that people are seeing your emails and opening them. Let's see it in action. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to Range email now. Let me get this set up. And like we mentioned earlier, if any questions do come up as we're going through this, feel free to use that chat function next to the volume icon and everything, and you can speak with us or speak with me directly, and we can answer those questions at the end of the webinar. So getting into exactly how this works. So some of you should be pretty familiar with how Digital Range works overall. If you don't worry, I'm going to do a full walkthrough for you guys. So to get started, this would be that first landing page or that home page that it would all land on once you log in. From here, all you would do is hover over or go to your email tab in the navigation. And so this is going to be that overview tab inside Range email. So you can see your recent drafts, sent campaigns, and if you guys have any automations or journeys set up, that's where they would appear as well. We're going to go ahead and actually send out a monthly newsletter, is the one that we're going to do together now. So there's a couple steps with sending out a PDF, and a lot of you are probably familiar with this, but I'm going to go through the entire process just so that you can get a full experience of it all. The first step whenever you send out a monthly newsletter is go to Files. This is where you're going to be able to upload that PDF. Email softwares, for the most part, don't allow you to actually insert a PDF inside of the email. It has to do with spam and security reasons. So we're going to start by uploading it inside Range Files. You may already have a folder inside your Files account for newsletters, but if you don't, all you have to do is click the little plus icon in the top right and then click New Folder. We'll go ahead and create a new folder for newsletters. And once you create that folder, or if you already have one created, all you would do is click into it. And so you'll see there are no items here, or you'll see your files if you've done it. But to upload a new one, all you would do is click that plus icon and then click Upload. You'll be able to drag and drop a file if you want, or click Browse your device, and you can actually upload it from your desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and upload the January 2018 newsletter that I have created. And then I'm going to click Upload on the bottom right. We'll see that bar, and then we'll see success. Once you see this screen, you can click the little close button on the bottom left, and then you'll be brought back to that newsletters folder. So from here, what you're going to want to do is click on that share button, and then if it hasn't been shared before, you have to click where it says no shared link, and then click access people with the link. And then it's going to generate a share URL, and then you're going to copy this URL. I recommend to go ahead and open up a new tab, go to that URL in it. This way you can save that URL for you to go back to start work on your email campaign. Once you do that though, you'll go back to your email tab, or you'll hop over to your email tab, and then you're going to click on Create a New Campaign. A lot of clubs like to duplicate their campaigns, which is completely okay if that's how you're used to doing it, but we really encourage you to create a new campaign from scratch. It's a little bit more legwork, but it helps you eliminate any concern or potential issues duplicating a campaign, like events being canceled or changed. and not remembering to go back and change that. So create a new campaign. So now we're going to go through those same steps that we talked about earlier in this webinar. Name the campaign. So this is specifically for internal use. The user or the subscriber will never actually see what you name your campaign. So we're just going to do January 2019 newsletter. Subject line. So this is going to be the really important part. We're going to go ahead and download the January newsletter. And so now is where we're going to add in some emojis to help this stand out in your inbox. So we're going to hop back over to Emojipedia. Let's do a calendar. And they have actually every single emoji that exists. So you can search and find whichever one works for you, but we're going to do a calendar one. And so I just copied that to my keyboard. I'm going to come back in here. Let me show you guys. We'll do paste. Oops. And we're going to paste it also at the end. This way it really pops out from the crowded inboxes that are out there. Who is it from? So this is the perfect place where we would just put in example country club, so you could put in your club name. And then this is an important part. A lot of you have probably already mastered this and gotten this part down because it does save it in the future, so you don't have to do it every single time. But the first time that you do this, you may come in here and it might look something similar to this, where it might say, it may even say your full email address right there. If that is how it looks, all you have to do is click Show My Domains. You want to make sure that it looks just like this, Chris at, and then it should be this little drop-down thing. That allows for the email providers that you're sending to know this is a real domain. This isn't just spam or junk. This is from somebody that is real and exists. So that's an important thing. So now we'll click Next. And so for this part, you're going to be brought to a template page where you can actually start putting together the content for your email. There's two things. The first one is going to be recent emails, which is where you'll be brought to first. Rather than duplicate an email, this is how I recommend to go about that entire process. So you can duplicate an email. Like if you've already done it, then you know how it's done. But if you come this way, this shows all the emails that have already been sent out in the past from your account, and then lets you create or edit it from there. So we're actually going to go ahead and do it that direction, but you can actually also click My Templates, and you'll be able to see all the different templates that are in your account. And we update this pretty regularly, about once a month, I'd say, or once every other month. We upload different holidays and stuff. So feel free to check that out. We always send an in-app message. You'll get a little notification down using that live chat. Something will pop up that says, hey, we've uploaded new email templates. Check it out. And so that's how you can know. Like I mentioned earlier, though, if you do ever have any templates that you wanted to be able to have custom for you, just let us know, and we can do that. So once I do find a template that I'm happy with, though, all I would have to do is click onto the template image, and it will start loading up that editor. There we go. And so we're going to use the Sweetwater Country Club one just as an example or as our template for today, but yours has your own branding on it. It probably has your own image down there. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start by changing out the month if you have to. Right now it says the January 2018 club newsletter, so we're good with that. If you did want to edit anything, you just click onto it and you can edit the text. We recommend to try and keep it pretty simple though. Like we mentioned earlier, let's kind of be straight to the point. There's no reason to complicate things. So here's a button down here. If we want to add in a new button though, all we would do is go onto that left, drag that button over. And then you can type in the button text, and this is what's going to display on the button. And the button link. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this button that was there. Download now. So the button link is going to be, for this example, the club newsletter. Sorry, Berry Creek, I'm stealing your newsletter for this. The button link, though, is just going to be exactly what you got from range files. That share URL, that's exactly what's going to be put right inside that button link area. You can go ahead and look at some of these other styles and changes that you can make, but I really would recommend to try and keep the buttons really simple and straightforward. If you really wanted to, you could do something like this, but from a design perspective, I really recommend nothing too complicated or nothing too crazy. So this is kind of how I'm going to want this to go out. This template's great because it gives you a couple different ways to get across the information. We're giving the member and the subscriber the ability to download the PDF with the events, but we're also going to go ahead and put in our key events down here. So you can come in here and change out the event name. So New Year's Day party. And if you wanted to, you could even press enter and add register here, and then just make some tiny adjustments to the text on there and add a link to let it link to a registration form. So that's one way that you can help kind of drive some action and encourage people to register for an event. I'm not going to add that there, but you would just go through here. I'm not going to do all these, don't worry. We'll do mid-month party, and we'll do member tournament, whatever it may be. And you can come through here, you can customize these as much as you guys want. I would recommend to use this area as a place to highlight your key events. There's no reason to put events for every single day, as I know a lot of clubs, and especially on the private side of things, have events almost every single day for members. Use this to really highlight the ones that you want people to come out to, that you're really trying to get people to register or reserve a spot or whatever it is. This is where you would put those key events. And so if you did come into this template and let's say there were too many in here and you didn't need all these, you can click on any section and click delete, and it'll actually let you delete an area. You can also duplicate by clicking duplicate and then clicking move and just dragging that up. You'll see that little blue line up here, and that's where you can drop it. So that's how you can kind of play around with that and make it work for you. And then to wrap up the design of this email and really kind of close out the email successfully is one final call to action, something that says, hey, make sure that you're here. Make sure that you take an action on this email because it's beneficial to you as a member. And so we'd wrap this up with the don't miss out and an RSVP. So this is where you could add in a link to the, maybe you have a generic RSVP page on your website, or you can even do mail to links. So if I wanted to have someone email myself or email me to register, all I have to do is type in that into the button link and then click done. And so that'll add that down there for me. Just like subject lines, you can add a emoji at any point throughout all this. So just to show you guys that, let's come back over here and do a thumbs up emoji. And we're just going to copy that, pop back into the email, and let's add it for the download now button. So I clicked on my button inside button text. I'm just going to click paste. We're going to add a little space to help break that up, and then done. And so now I have an emoji to help kind of encourage a little bit more and add a little bit more fun to the actual email itself. From here, though, there's two things that I recommend for every single email, and I know a lot of you probably did this your first email, maybe the second and third emails that you sent out whenever you started with Digital Range, but we do this internally, and I think you should do every single time you send out an email. Send a test email. Just click a little and then type in your email address. It'll automatically save the last one that's sent. So if that's you, then you don't have to worry about it. And then just click send test, and it'll come straight to your inbox. So this way you can really actually take a look at exactly what that subscriber is going to see. Like I said, I know a lot of people did that the first couple of times to get used to it. I really, really recommend doing that every single time that you send out an email. From there, though, you can click preview once you're happy with it. And then preheader text. So this is something that's pretty optional, and in complete honesty, if you duplicate your emails and that's kind of how you're used to doing it, I would probably recommend just avoiding adding preheader text. Preheader text is that little snippet that shows up under a subject line. So normally, a lot of times it will just pull from whatever the content of the actual email is. But if you did want to add in preheader text, you would, let me go back one step. So if you were here and you wanted to add in preheader text, just click that little settings icon, and then you'll be brought to this. This is kind of like the default settings for the email, but then you'll see preheader text down here. So this is a short sentence that displays as an email preview in some inboxes. If you type this in here, this is just for you to be able to add in that preheader text. The reason that I say if you duplicate your emails, then I recommend against doing this is because it's a really, really easy step for you to be able to forget, because it's something that you kind of have to take an extra step by going to that settings icon to be able to change. And so if you don't change it every single time that you add one, then it will use it for every single one. So like, let's say I said, download the January 2019 Club newsletter and calendar for Sweetwater Country Club. The issue with this, so now I say download the January 2019 Club newsletter. If I was to come back through after I send this out and duplicate the email, if I didn't change the header text, it would automatically use January 2018, even though maybe I'm sending out February 2019. So that's why I say, you know, if you think that you can keep up with it, then by all means do it. It's a really beneficial thing to do, but it's a very tiny step that if you mess up, it could look kind of bad on the club and on the email itself, just because it's not really reflecting the actual email. But to kind of fast forward through this, we'll click preview now. And so from this point on is exactly where you get the chance to really look at it if you don't want to send yourself a test email. As much as I recommend to send a test email, if that's just not going to work for you, maybe you can't check it on your phone or whatever it may be, this is how you can check both devices. We pride ourselves on being a mobile-first responsive platform. So you can see here on the right is exactly how the member is going to experience the email whenever they open it up on their phone. And so you can see everything does a good job at, you know, responding to the device, and it looks native across it all. So this is something that I really recommend to take the time to go through this, spell check it. We see a lot of emails get sent out from a lot of different people, even bigger brands that will send out emails and just little things that might get overlooked, like spelling errors or forgetting to change out the year. Especially with us going into the new year, it's going to be really, really important to make sure that any email that you've sent out in 2018, you update that month for the next month. So those are just kind of a couple things that I, would really recommend to check on and make sure that you do. But once you're happy with all of this, all you would do is click Define Recipients, and you'll be brought back to this page to your describe or defining who you want to receive the emails. Some of you may have additional segments like golf members or social members. If that's something that interests you or you'd like to learn how we can segment out your subscribers, let us know. Crofton Country Club is one that did that when they first started with us, and now they have segments based off of what membership type or membership level someone is. And so this way they can send out personal emails to those members. This way social members don't get emails about golf tournaments and vice versa. So, but whenever you're coming through this, you would just select whichever ones you want to send it to. I'm going to send it to all subscribers. So let's say you have a couple different emails here, because this is a common question that I get. If you had all subscribers and then say staff, if you had an email that was in all subscribers and in staff, they would only receive it once. So it's something to kind of keep in mind, that just because they're in multiple lists, they're only ever going to receive that email one time. Once you're happy with that, though, you would just click Next. And you'll be brought back to that campaign snapshot. This is a term that I use a lot in support stuff. The campaign snapshot is an overview of the campaign that you're building out. So we'll see campaign and sender. We'll see the campaign name that we've specified in that very first step, the subject. We put emojis there. Disregard that these question marks appear there. I know that it's something that can easily throw you off, but if you click edit, you'll actually be able to see that it's actually completely okay. It just has to do with how that text gets rendered on the screen. Preview with all that content, we can skip that, but if you did want to preview it one more time, you could click the view a preview link, and that'll actually open up that email that you just built inside a new tab. So that's a great place to take one more final look if you'd like. It'll also let you take a quick look at the recipients that you have added there. If you recall on that very first step as well, whenever we were adding the from name, I mentioned that you always want to add in the domain. You want to make sure that that drop down is selected so that it says your name, and then it should say the @ sign and then a drop down with your club's domain name or URL. That's, if you do it correctly on the campaign snapshot, you'll see that golden key right there. So that's a really important thing to make sure it's there. Once you're happy with all this though, all we would do, actually, let me take 1 second. If you want to edit some content on your email from here, all you have to do is click that little edit. So preview with all that content. This is where, if I click this, it'll bring me back straight to that editor. So this is just something kind of important to keep in mind as you're building out emails. And so once we're happy with it though, we'll just go to schedule delivery. This is where you can decide if you'd like to send out that campaign now or schedule it for a specific time. So this is something a lot of clubs like to do, is come in here once a month or once a week if you're sending out a lot of emails, and create those campaigns for that entire week or for those 2 weeks or whatever it is. You can click that calendar drop down and select what day you want it to send out. So this one I'm going to have send out on January 1st. And then the time that I wanted to send it out at, this is where you can kind of specify or, play around with some different times, 9 a.m. You can change it to 9 p.m., whatever works for you. Confirmation email, I recommend just adding no reply at your domain name. You don't really need a confirmation email unless you really want one, but that's what you would do. And then you would just click schedule this campaign if you're scheduling it, or send it now if you want that campaign to send out right away. We're going to do schedule a campaign to send out on January 1st, and that's it. That'll bring me back here, and I can come back and see up here under scheduled campaigns where it is going to send out. Down here is where you can see the open rates for sent campaign reports, and so this is where if you wanted to kind of look back at some analytics and see, if you sent it out at 9 a.m. versus 9 p.m., this is how you can check out what is sending out and what's being successful or what's doing well based off of those times. So that's how you guys can send out some of those campaigns. We'll hop back over here. Q&A. So like I mentioned earlier, the intention for this is to get you guys to benefit from it. We want you to be able to ask your question and feel like you leave this webinar with some actual insight. So I want to go ahead and open up the chat for some live Q&A. Feel free to hop into that real quick and send over any questions that you may have. I've got a computer open with the chat bubble, so feel free to start sending over any questions that we've got coming in. No questions. I don't know if I believe it. Can everybody hear me? Let's start with that. Did the chat actually work? If everyone could hop into the chat, if you found out how to, or if you understood how to do that, if you could hop into the chat, just shoot over a quick message that, hey, hi, let me know that you can actually hear me and that I didn't just go through an entire webinar. Thank you. See, there we go. All right, perfect. Any questions at all? I'm sure that there's a question that somebody has. Does anybody want any templates that we went through or emails that you saw throughout this that you'd like to do? All of them. All right. Yes, Crystal. I can get you those. No problem. Awesome. Cool deal. Any other questions or any questions about design aspects, how you guys can send out, anything specific? I want to make sure that you guys feel like you benefited from this webinar. So even if it seems like a silly question or anything like that, now's the perfect time to send those over and let us know. Yes, Tim, we can. Yeah. So that's always a great thing, sending, making sure that the email list that's uploaded is the most up to date. Tim, if you want to send me over that Excel sheet or whatever documentation you guys have, we can definitely get that updated. And if you guys ever do want to do the segmentation like we had mentioned earlier that Crofton sent out, that's always a great way to really kind of personalize it. Absolutely, Warren. We can. I'll work with you, and we'll talk about getting that set up for you guys. Designing flyers to insert in emails. Let me follow up with you. I'll follow up with you directly, Ryan, about that. We are working on a on-demand type of style graphic design service. So I'll follow up with you personally about that, and we can kind of talk about that. But definitely, I think we can do something like that for you. Ryan, what club are you at? Just so that I can make sure I get the last name right down. Perfect. All right. I'll let you guys continue to send over some of those questions. The last thing that I kind of wanted to go through and kind of give you guys just a really quick sneak peek, and if you have questions, continue sending those over. If I need to follow up with you directly about it, I'll do that afterwards. But I wanted to go ahead and show you a couple things that are, coming down the road and that we're working on to really kind of provide an all-in-one experience for you and allow you to really manage your entire online presence from inside Digital Range. The first part of the new tools that are coming down the road is Range Forms. So this is something that we're really, really excited about. A number of clubs are already having access to this. And if you think that your club should have it too, feel free to reach out and we can figure out how we can do that. But Range Forms is a drag and drop, easy to use online form builder. So a lot of you are familiar with SurveyMonkey or Wufoo. It's very similar. It's nearly exactly like Wufoo, just as easy. And what's really amazing about it is that we have so many templates. For those who are using it, they can vouch for this. There's probably hundreds of templates that you can choose from. And we create some custom for CBID properties that we're working on getting added as well. But you can do anything from, member satisfaction surveys. A lot of clubs like to do this towards the end of the year where they send out one email or one survey that kind of collects some feedback. So that's a great way to do it. Berry Creek used this for their Board of Governors voting. And I think that Jeannie, if she's online, maybe she'll put in the chat that, how she felt with using forms. But there's a lot of ways that you can do it. You can use online order forms, collect payment from members online if you want, or from customers. If the pro shop is maybe having a sale, or you guys want to collect some insight or see if anyone wants to order a custom shirt before you actually order the shirts, Range Forms can create an online order form for that. This is a little preview of inside the editor. It's super basic, straight to the point, easy to use. You can add images, really anything, any field that you would ever want to add into a form, you can do that through Range Forms. Couple previews, you can do event registrations. You can do maximums of registration. If you can only have 100 people attend your event, you can set a maximum on the form. You can even have it set up so that if you can only have 100 people total, that if a member says that they want to bring 5 guests, that counts towards the maximum without having to fill out the form for 5 times. Willow Fork has gotten to kind of play around with this. There's ways that you can have it so that it's a drop down for the event name, so that you can have one generic form on your website at all times, and all you have to do is update the event drop down names each month. So it's super, super easy to use. Membership satisfaction surveys, great way to kind of collect some feedback, get some direction on what members are actually wanting to experience, and collect their input directly. So if Range Forms is something that you're interested in and you'd like to learn more about, feel free to shoot over a message inside the chat or reach out to me directly afterwards, and we can talk more about that. This is one that I'm extremely and unapologetically excited about, is Range Social. This is one that we've worked really, really hard on making sure that it's in place and it's going to work for the clubs. It's an all-in-one platform for helping save you time managing your social media accounts for your club. It's an easier way to schedule posts, analyze the performance, and manage all your accounts in one place. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything. You can log into Digital Range now and create a new post for your social profiles without having to log into each and every single social profile. You can set up approval processes. So if you have someone who's part-time who wants to schedule posts for the club, you can have their post require approval to actually post them out to the public. So that's a huge thing. One of the key things is, you're able to quickly and easily schedule posts to all the social profiles you want at the time that you want. You specify when it goes out and what profiles it should go out to. You can post photos and videos. Content discovery tool is a huge one that we're really excited about having inside Range Social. You can essentially search news articles and videos that have been posted across the internet by searching a certain keyword, and it'll pull in all that information. And with one click, you can take in all that media, and it'll automatically schedule it to your profiles. That's a really great way to help you guys start creating content around industries or inside the golf industry without having to go and search for it and spend so much time trying to create it or find it. It's just one click essentially. And then the last little feature that is available now is the Chrome extension. We're really excited about doing this. It's going to be an easier way for you guys to access Digital Range and the tools inside of Digital Range. So whenever we send out the recording of the webinar, you'll be able to, I'll include a link to the Chrome extension. It's completely free to download. It makes your life easier. I think it's a really, really neat way for you guys to be able to access Digital Range and be able to really kind of engage with the platform and help manage your digital presences even faster. Other than that, though, that's really all that I've got. We're getting right at the 1 hour mark. So I do want to thank everybody for attending. If you do need a Digital Range account, I saw a lot of people that registered and I have not actually spoken with yet or created accounts for yet. You can go to lda.agency/new-user, and I'll send these URLs out directly to everybody as well, and you can request a new user account there. If we went over something in the webinar that you'd like a little bit more information regarding, you can either reach out to me directly or schedule a one-on-one training by going to lda.agency/dr. Other than that, if you guys have any interest in Range Social, Range Forms, or have any questions about Range Email, we are always happy to help. Feel free to use that live chat inside Digital Range, and I'd be more than happy to help resolve any questions. I'm going to go ahead and stay online for a few minutes. If any questions come up, feel free to use that chat and send over any questions. Otherwise, you guys are more than welcome to start wrapping up and getting back to the day-to-day life of working at a golf course. But I'm grateful for all of you guys who showed up. Thank you very much for coming. I hope that you actually learned something. And if any questions come up, feel free to send those over. Like I said, I'll be on for a couple more minutes. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Crystal. Crystal, I'll follow up with you directly as well. Whoever just sent over the new user and I will need to set up a new account, yes. What's your name? I'm not getting a name popping up for some reason. Brandon Sally Mount. Perfect. I'll get you set up and follow up with you directly afterwards. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Blake. When is the survey feature going to be ready? If you can send me over just your name real quick, nothing's showing up for your name, of course, technical issues with life. If you can send me over your name, I'll follow up with you directly. We're starting to roll that out. Oh, perfect, Sean. Yeah, I'll shoot you a message once we finish up the call or once I finish up this webinar and talk about that. Going to go ahead and we'll hang around for a couple more minutes. This way, if anyone does have any final questions, can send them on over. Probably about 2:10 p.m. Central Time. Here in the next couple minutes, I'll go ahead and close up the webinar, but feel free to send over anything. Absolutely. Definitely, Brent. And we are going to do these webinars more in the future, so stay tuned for those as well. We'll be in touch about upcoming webinars here in the next couple days, and hopefully we'll be able to do a couple more that get more in depth with Digital Range and all the fun stuff. Still 20 of you online, so there's probably a question hanging around somewhere in there. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close up the webinar, get everything shut down. So like I mentioned, that we'll send out some follow-up emails with the recording and some future resources for you guys to have access to. And if any questions do come up, feel free to head over to digitalrange.com, and I'd be more than happy to help the live chat by just clicking that little green icon on the bottom right corner. Other than that, thank you, everybody, for coming. We had a great time and hope you guys did as well. And we look forward to speaking with everybody again soon. Have a great rest of y'all's week.